or what are some things that you've learned from this journey of like being in MBBS and doing your MS right now that you've learned? Not just about the medical things alone, but like life in general.
Uh, Speaking in terms of doctor, I feel like we are taking health for granted.
Hmm.
I feel like we can get away with stuff. We can leave a disease as it is and it will heal itself, something like that. Or life in general, we are taking things for granted. There are a lot of things that can be done, a lot of things can be improved, and a lot of things can be taken into consideration. But yeah, we have to focus on our own self more rather than just just going with the flow.
Hey Amit, how's it
Hey
going?
Prateek, yeah, it's going good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. Thank you. Before we get started, if you want to let the people on the internet know who you are, what you do, any
Okay.
likes and dislikes in personal life, future aspirations, anything and everything you want to share about yourself.
Okay, so basically, my name's Amith, and I'm currently an orthopedic resident in Bangalore, it's basically in St. John's Medical College, Bangalore. So yeah, my aspiration is to become a good orthopedic surgeon in the in the near future and have a good practice. I like to play sports in my free time. Yeah, that is it.
What kind of sports do you play in your free time?
I usually go for right now whenever I get a time I go to play football with my friends or my seniors or anyone, and sometimes even badminton
Mm, mm,
depending
mm.
upon my schedule that is there.
Right, right. Nice. Yeah, just for those of them who don't know or watching this, to add a little context,
Okay.
Amit and I both went to school in 12th standard, which was about 8 years back, and I don't think we've spoken since. I mean, we've chatted here and there on Instagram, but like talking is the
Yeah.
first time that we're doing it in a long time. So thank you so much once again for saying yes and being open to doing this.
No, no,
But
pleasure's all mine. Thank you for inviting me, even though last time I couldn't do it because I was busy preparing for the exam, but now,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
no, not a problem. Not a problem. Not a problem. I remember when you said you play football, I remember we used to play like in the ground in front of the hostel a lot of the times as well.
Australia, yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
you
yeah. It
yeah.
was everybody,
It was,
everybody. A lot of people were playing.
I remember the
Um,
time we went for that district level tournament in some
I
which
think it
school
was for
was that?
volleyball,
Madhav.
right?
No, no, it was football only. I don't remember the school name. It was Madhavanila or something, I guess.
I don't remember being there for the soccer or football one. I remember
Okay,
going there for the volleyball one, and I think for the
okay.
netball one.
Netball. When was that? Did we even
I
have
remember
netball?
going. I don't know why I remember that. Isn't that netball like the one where they throw the ball into the net,
No, no, no.
or is
It's
that
just
something else?
kind of basketball without a board. That's all.
Okay, then what was this? Or
Oh, that was
handball, I guess.
handball. Handball. Yeah.
Handball.
Yeah. Handball.
Yeah, I remember we went to play handball. I think we played MGM. I think.
Yeah, no, I was
Hmm.
not there for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there,
Oh,
and a few
Buckles.
other people
Yeah.
were there. Yeah. Um. Yeah.
Been
Speaking
so
of which,
long.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it has been a while. I mean, we kind of talked
Yeah.
about this earlier, but
Yeah.
whom have you been in touch with, or what is, or well, I guess we'll start with it from someplace else. What's happened since you've left school, since you've left
Since
12th
left
standard?
school. Right. Okay. Since it was 2016, right? We finished our college and everything. Then we met again for the NEET exam, which, as you
Hmm.
spoke, got cancelled in the
Right,
first
right,
month. Then
right.
then they kept an exam again, which I wrote and decided to join, MBBS in a
Mm,
place called Davangere, which is near my hometown. Finished
mm,
my MBBS around 2022. Took a study break for 6 months, which went up to 1 year, and like
mm,
all the seat allotment result, everything took another 6 months. So then I got my seat here in last September 2023. So now I'm currently pursuing orthopedics, as I told you, in St. John's, Bangalore.
Gotcha. What's that MBBS journey like from start to
Uh,
finish?
yeah, in the beginning, it's the first year is it's kind of weird. You are out, you're studying one day, you're studying physics, chemistry, bio, which is bio is basically just plants and stuff. Suddenly you jump on to study human anatomy, which you don't have no clue of what it is. It's just this muscle, that nerve, and in the first year itself, you're just for some exposure and for clinical purpose, they'll let you dissect a dead body as well. So in the initial days itself, when you give it to you, right, even you made to sit in front of it, it's damn scary to be honest. But anyways, yeah, first year it was like that. You don't know what you're doing, and everything is new. You just had to go through it. But as it goes on, you get a hand of it some sort. Okay, then you know what you're doing. Then you know what you're learning. Then why you're doing this. So as
Mm,
you go on, first year passed away like that only. It passed on like that. Second year is just full of subjects like pharmacology, pathology, forensic medicine, and microbiology. These are the basic stuff that is needed for the clinical practices. So they build a
mm,
foundation there. First year was just, normal stuff. Second year is just clinical practice, like clinically whatever you need. So in my third year, it came down to having three subjects. The third year was when my true clinical subject started. It was
mm,
community medicine, which is really required. It teaches you what all the stuff is happening in the like all the health plans that are there going on in India. What are the treatments, like what are the diseases that we are fighting? What are the treatments that are
mm,
available? What is going on? Like what are the research methods that are going on? How do you do research? They basically built that foundation, as well as it was Ophthal and ENT. Ophthal is basically a study about eye. ENT is
mhm,
just ear, nose, throat. So third year is pretty much that. Fourth year, it's all the major clinical subjects was combined in fourth year. That
mm.
is when, but unfortunately, I couldn't experience my fourth year a lot because of the COVID. That was that.
Right, right.
First 2 months I started my fourth year, then COVID hit in March. Then we had a break till November or something like it. Now till November, I feel, from March to November. After that, yeah, November I started. Basically, a short period of all the like all the clinical branches. I finished off in some short courses. I got exposed to all the clinical that branches that are there. Then I gave my exam in March. Once I passed that, I had my internship. Basically, they call it housemanship or internship, where you're posted in all the major subjects like medicine, surgery, OBG, and all this for a certain amount of time. That is for the basically for the experience that you get, so that you'll have a one is to you learn how to deal with everything later on, and one is for yourself just for you to see which branch you like it now, what you want to pursue in future. It's like that. So then, yeah, after that, as I told you, I took a study break for a 6 month, which turned into 1 year because of all the counseling and stuff. Then I got into the PG in last September. That
Mm.
study break, if you want to know, it was just purely study. That's all. You,
To study for the entrance exam that you have to take again.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Right.
was basically called as NEET PG for everyone to know. NEET PG is one of
Mm-hmm.
the toughest exam that is going on in India.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only NEET PG. There's other exams called INICET, which is for the top exams which is for the top colleges in India called AIMS or JIPMAR, which is in Pondicherry, or NIMHANS, which is one of the top. These are the top colleges in India. So NEET PGs are for all the government colleges or basic for all the colleges in India. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
study for that, prepared hard, very hard for 6 months. Then yeah, pretty much got a good rank, so ended up here.
Mm. Good, 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 good. You mentioned that your last year was about being posted somewhere for your internship period. Did you have to go somewhere else, or was it in the same
No, no,
area?
no.
Like, was it in Davangere?
No, no, it wasn't that way. It's in the same hospital that I studied in. Basically, we don't have to go. If the college doesn't have a facility, some colleges they'll send you to a place where they have the facility where they post you outside. But since ours was a
I
huge
see.
college, it's in the sense a pretty old college with a lot of clinical, I mean like pretty much all the departments. So it's in the hospital itself where you study that you'll have to go through all the clinical parts.
Gotcha, gotcha. You mentioned NEET PG. I think right now the exam that we took back then that used to be called
Yeah,
AIMPT, I think it's called NEET
yeah,
UG, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
AIPMT, basically, yeah, AIPMT. When it is in 2016, they decided that there are a lot of entrance exam for separate colleges have their own, individual colleges have their own exams. So that is when they decided to combine everything and make one exam called NEET. That was for the UG that they started, and again that
right.
changed to PG as well. So now that we have
Mm,
NEET UG as well as NEET PG.
right, right, right. What do you think
Yeah.
about these entrance exams?
Oh man, it's way too hard, dude. It's way too hard. It's getting tougher and tougher and every year. It's like it's the main purpose of we. It's like you want to study, but that is one big obstacle in your way. But there are limited number of seats and huge number of aspirants. It's a huge fight. Everyone wants a good seat. Everyone wants a top college, but everyone can't get the same seat. So it's a rat race.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, because I guess my one sort of not gripe, but something that I've thought about with these entrance exams is
Yeah.
I guess anybody can like if not anyway like I guess generally what I mean to say is how do
Hmm.
they separate someone who only knows like knowledge from what they've learned versus like
Hmm.
application of that knowledge? Because I've always like
Hmm.
those are two different things, right? Or are those not
Yeah,
like two
yeah, yeah.
different things?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. See,
Yeah.
basically, yeah, I like. Do you mean like only theory knowledge as well as practical knowledge? Those are separate things you want to. You're saying that, or
Yeah, I mean, in the sense that like when you're preparing for those exams, you can prepare for
yeah,
all the theory and you can like go and write it. But then when it comes to actually like applying it and doing it practically,
yeah,
like
yeah. Those are
that
two
also
different
matters,
things.
right? Right,
Yeah,
right.
initially what it was is just theory. You just mug up some stuff and same question if they ask, you just answer something and come. But now it's like scenarios. They're giving like this patient has presented with
Uh,
this. This test was done. What might be the reason? There are four options. There are out of four, which two of them are close enough, to the question. I mean, they have two of them might be the answer, but you don't know which one it is. So it's gotten to a level where it's all purely clinical. They are diverting it to more clinical than rather than theoretical. So that it's not only the theory knowledge that you should have the practical knowledge as well. So you should have good clinical practice just to understand these questions. You should imagine at least even if you don't have, if you should at least imagine what is happening. If you get a question, you should think about the scenario that is happening. Then you can. It's like that. So basically, more clinically oriented that is it's getting.
okay, okay. I guess that's a good thing because
Yeah,
yeah, because then you're able to like separate and I guess put people to the test in a better way than just
yeah.
having them
It's
mug
not
some
only
shit
knowing
up and then
theory. Yeah,
right, right,
right,
right.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember we used to go to this I forget what the name of that place is, but we used to go to these classes to
Base,
like base.
base
Yeah, that's what it was.
Sundays, right?
Sundays, yeah,
Saturdays
yeah,
and
yeah.
Sundays. Yeah,
We had classes on Saturdays and Sundays where we would go to essentially prepare for these entrance exams.
man,
Um
those used to take up entire Saturdays and Sundays, dude.
yeah, yeah,
Remember how
yeah,
we hated
yeah.
it so much?
Yeah. I think some people used to like draw on the table and shit and just come back.
That was.
Yeah. Yeah,
Remember,
yeah, yeah.
she made a huge scene out of it, saying that you're not supposed to draw on the table. Who is that person? I want to know. I'll talk to your principal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know who she was. She was probably the in charge of the place or something.
Yeah, I don't remember who she was specifically, but I do remember like the incident of it happening. Like I think him
Yeah.
drawing on the table and yeah, them not liking it or something. I mean, which is I guess now that I've grown older, I can understand that. That is fair. But back then it was like, why are they making a fuss out of it? Everybody draws on tables.
Yeah,
um
what's a big deal about it?
right, right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, but now it makes sense. I understand from, I guess
yeah.
I can see from their side.
Basically, that was out of
uh
frustration that we did. So
yeah, yeah, boredom, frustration, a bit of everything.
yeah, it's
Because
like you get only 1 day free from all the college and stuff. Yeah, that also you're taking for studies. You wanted just
yeah,
to, we just wanted to play, please. It's like that.
yeah, yeah. Right, right, right. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I guess that was my one, like, at that time, that was like the one thing I didn't like about the education system back then was
Yeah.
reliance on like entrance exam, entrance exam. I mean, I know like it's part of,
Yeah, I do feel like it's still the same, you know. It's just a
right.
lot of people just preparing for entrance rather than focusing on studies in the college. It's just you
Mm,
have to study, you have to get a good rank, you have to ultimately what the thing is getting a good rank in the competitive exam is more than what percentage you get in the exam in the school or college or board exam, whatever it is. It's just if you get a good rank, that's sorted. So why bother about board exams and stuff? So
right.
it's just they just prepare in that same mentality that I have to prepare for competitive exam rather than the exam that is happening in my own school or college. People are focusing
Yeah.
more on that and diverting more everyone towards the same path. I just feel like that. I don't know, but yeah, I just feel like that is happening.
Yeah, because I think like there's a lot of like pre-university colleges now that also are like geared that way, right? Like Expert and
Yeah,
Vikas and all those places like in the Mangalore area, and I'm sure there's a few others in like other parts of Karnataka.
yeah,
But they're taking up that model where they're sort of combining both. Excuse me, they're training you for these entrance exams, and they have,
rather than yeah,
yeah, they
it's
have the
just you.
regular
It
stuff too.
feels like you're joining a coaching college rather than a college, actual college to learn something.
Right, right, right,
Yeah,
right, right.
coaching colleges as well, they teach you the same syllabus and stuff, but it's not exactly how we want to learn it. It's just
Hmm.
how we are being prepared for the exam. You just prepare it, being getting groomed for the exam rather than
Yeah,
actually studying for what matters.
yeah. Because I guess the difference we could make is in that case, you're learning what something is. On the other
Hmm.
side, you're learning how you would answer a question that came on the exam,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah. So
yeah.
just
It's
how much of
like
it are
how
you actually learning?
yeah. No one exactly cares about how much you're learning. It's just what was your rank. That's all that matters in the end.
Right, right,
How is
right,
it in
right.
America? Is it the same like here or
So it is different in different situations. So yes, there are some entrance exams over here as well. Like you have to take the SAT,
okay?
or the ACT, and you need to meet certain standards to, or like certain thresholds. So like I'm forgetting the numbers, but universities, depending on their level, they have certain
Mm-hmm.
thresholds. Like you need to hit
Yeah,
this
got it.
to
Yeah.
be accepted, and so on and so forth. When I
Okay.
moved here, I didn't have to take those. I was able to get in with my grades from India itself. But
Okay.
after I came here, they made me take an exam to know my proficiency in terms of where I
Mm-hmm.
stood, in terms of my
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of stuff. And based on that, they would then tell me what classes I would need to take and so on. So I think these exams, like the SAT or the ACT, also sort of helps with that. Like depending on your
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, they're able to then bypass some classes for you and so on, and then you will start. I know after
Okay.
your undergraduate degree, like if you want to get into like law school or even in medical school over here, you have
Okay.
to take exams and like entrance exams and get in essentially. The I guess the
Mm-hmm.
major difference also in terms of like medical school over here is that in
Mm.
India after 12th you can start MBBS, right? But over
Yeah,
here
yeah.
you have to first, yeah, over here you have to first get a bachelor's in like biology or like anything pre-med related.
Oh, okay.
Then you apply to go to medical school. Then so it
Oh,
takes much longer
yeah, yeah.
than it would in India. So that's the
India, it's
one,
just,
I guess, the
just
way.
pass your 12th and you're a doctor. It's not
Right,
like that,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's like you have to finish 4 year college before you can get into med school, which I think is also 4 years, and
Okay.
then 4 or 5 years, I think, and then after that you can do specialization or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, so I guess it takes about the same time if you consider like MS and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
MCH and
Then,
all.
yeah.
Yeah,
Basically,
potentially.
and you have to study till the age of 30 or something. It's like that.
Right. Yeah, you end up
Basically
doing
the
that,
same
I
thing.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just different ways of doing it, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, are
So how?
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, no, no. It's, go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, like, are people frustrated with entrance exams? Like, I mean, around you, like the group of people that you're in, like with these exams that you have to take. I guess everybody's just resigned to the fact that, oh, we have to take it, so whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you look at the youngsters, they pretty much know that they have to go through these exams. While they are preparing itself, if they aspire to be a doctor or any engineer or anything,
Right.
they know that they have to go through all this stuff. So it's they're mentally prepared for it. But again, once they don't get what they like, it comes to a point where they get rejected. They get depressed, saying that I want to do this, but I'm not able to do this. They might give up as well. Some might even leave their dreams to pursue something else that is much more easier rather than competing for these exams, which is way harder. So it's become a new norm, but it should not be glorified as such to give all these exams. But yeah, entrance exams are necessary. It's not like I'm not saying it's useless and stuff. But yeah, it's way too hard to do it.
Right. I guess the weight that's sort of put on those entrance exams makes it that much harder.
Yeah,
Um, and like the set of expectations, right? Because everybody wants to become a doctor. Or no, I
yeah.
mean, like
You're just
everybody who's
pressured.
writing the exam.
Yeah, you've been put on pressure from either one way or the other just to get a good rank. It's just not passing is not enough. You have to get a good rank so that you can get a good college and become a good doctor. But it's not getting into a good college to become a good doctor. You can become a good doctor from anywhere in the India. It doesn't depend on the
Mm-hmm.
college. But
Right.
it's sort of expectation that once only you get a good college, only you'll become a good doctor.
Mm-hmm. Um, like from your time in starting MBBS to now,
Okay.
like you mentioned the fact that with NEET UG and NEET PG also changing,
Hmm.
has the education, like the way they teach, change, or is it just like the way it used to be before?
It's still the same, even the NEET UG, and not exactly NEET UG, in the MBBS curriculum, if you see, NEET UG also has changed. They might also be, I have a little clue about it, I guess. They are also, more towards the clinical part, probably. No, I mean, like, not exactly clinical. Clinical is not the word I use. Probably they're life oriented, something like that. And if I look at the MBBS, that is turning recently turning into more clinical part rather than just theory knowledge. They're implementing clinicals for clinical practice for even the first years as well. So that from the first year itself, they'll have some clinical exposure. Sort of getting into the hospital, seeing the not exactly seeing the patient, just just see how it works, see how the patients present. Just so you could have some knowledge from the first year itself. If you look at
Hmm.
the exams of the first year also, it's before it used to be just theory, just they just give you a question, you just write some answers. But now it's not like that. We have those kind of questions as well, but it's come to a point like a certain number of marks. Like example, probably I guess 10 marks. 10 marks of it is for MCQs, which is again MCQs. I feel like MCQs are good, but yeah, they put you into thinking perspective. Like you can imagine how as I explained it earlier, you just imagine the clinical scenario in your head and answer it. It's like that. So it's kind of
Yeah,
good
like
that it's
multiple
different.
choice, you get to choose.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Sorry, go
And
ahead. Continue.
yeah, basically, yeah, multiple choices. Again, that's kind of like neat orientation as well, neat PG orientation. You
Hmm.
just think of the question like think the question as a clinical scenario and just imagine it in your head and just answer it. So it's everything is getting more clinical these days, which is I think it's a good idea. Instead of for some people, I feel like just theory knowledge is not enough. Theory, even if they're good at theory, they won't be knowing how to implement it in clinical practice or day-to-day life. So in this way, I think it's a helpful thing that they're implementing and changing it to more clinical orientation, so that you'll have you'll have an idea basically to how to use that knowledge that you have in clinical practice. So I feel like whatever they're doing is good. But yeah, since the pattern changed after I left, I don't know how helpful it is for the people that are pursuing MBBS now. But
Hmm.
as far as I think, it's good.
Hmm. 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 I mean, yeah, I don't know much about it, but based on what you're saying, like, I think that's a move in the right direction as well. Like,
Yeah,
they're implementing more of that so that they're getting you to think a little more critically,
yeah, yeah.
rather than just like mugging
They
up
are
that
think
information.
they're getting into think more of life scenario rather than just imaginary scenarios. Yeah. Because
Yeah,
these questions are not exactly questions. There might be some the person frame the questions might be putting some question as his from his own experience. It might be
like from
that
a
sort as
case
well.
from, yeah.
Yeah, picked up a case from his own experience. So in that way, this is a good turn, I believe.
Yeah, that's a, I guess, a move in the right direction for sure.
Yeah,
Um, because yeah, I guess the one thing like I've started to realize when we were in school, um, it was mostly about like mugging up and getting the right,
yeah,
so that you're able to get grades.
yeah.
Um,
No,
and
it comes to like mugging up is there. Mugging up is there anywhere. If you don't understand a subject, you mug up and go. Like even without as we were studying, we just used to mug up things. Not know what were we studying for.
yeah,
Once we get into got into some practice that we're doing now. Now we know, okay, I studied that. Okay, and this can be used here. It's like that.
right,
So I'm getting into implementing whatever it was, whatever I had studied prior. But now, like looking at the current system, they study and implement it at the same time, so that you'll have
yeah,
better knowledge, you'll have better experience, you'll have at least, yeah, you know what you're doing. So rather than storing up everything for 5 years and then implementing it after some years, exactly 4 years
yeah,
of studying and then internship, you'll get to experiment all this stuff. Instead of doing that, you get to study it on that day itself. You get to implement on the next day. I guess it's better so that you remember it for a
yeah,
longer time once you study and do that procedure or whatever it's called. So you remember it for a
right,
longer time. Yeah,
right. Because I was just thinking of this, like, oh, I guess I should explain what mugging up is for someone who's listening who might not know. Mugging up is essentially like absorbing all the information without necessarily understanding it. You would just basically learn everything by heart and then just go and vomit it out on the
yeah,
paper. And you know it word to word, but then you don't necessarily know how it all works.
yeah.
So that's essentially what mugging up is. That's sort of the
You just
slang that
basically
we
know
use
all the
back.
sentences that are there. You just know the page
Right,
that is there. You just know the word that is there in that page. But you don't know what
right.
that means. You just copy paste the entire thing from the textbook to the paper. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. Just copy paste
Yeah,
what you've read
yeah, copy.
onto the paper, and that's that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, because I guess I, once you've sort of grown up, you sort of realize the importance of understanding also. Because I'll be honest, like
yeah,
back in the day, I've mugged up a lot, and
yeah.
I think back and I'm like, oh shit, like how much of that stuff did I actually know?
Yeah, that's true. Even I'm not lying, but even in MBBS I did that. In this beginning
Hmm.
itself, I told you, right? We got exposed to anatomy and stuff. Anatomy,
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with it. It's all complicated. It's for a medical term, from a person who's coming from 12th, who's just learned plant osmosis and all that stuff.
Right.
So suddenly you put into muscle tendon, neuropraxia. These are big terms for a first-year-old. Some 18-year-old kid. So I
Yeah.
used to mug up a lot in the beginning. Then once first year passed, I gave an exam. Then I went to second year. Then I realized, oh, then I could remember something. Then there was no need to mug up as well. It kind of I
Hmm.
could imagine what it was. If they gave me a muzzle or something, if I know, I could basically understand what nerve is, where is it coming from. I could sort of imagine that. In the first year, it's
Hmm.
like, oh, it's going this way, there, in between those muscles, in this hand. I'm like, what is it? Why
Hmm.
are we
Hmm.
doing
Hmm.
this? It's like that. It was too damn hard. I used to mug up a
Hmm.
lot. And for one or the other subject, there is something to mug up. There are some things you won't understand. But
Hmm.
yeah, that is fun though.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've definitely had our fun in school too. So, I guess It's sort of part of the experience as a whole.
Have you ever
um,
carried chits to the school in like exam?
I I've not carried my own chits. um, you mean over here or in India when I was
No,
studying
no,
in
no, in
India?
India. Okay, there as well.
No, over here I haven't.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't. Yeah, I haven't. In India also I haven't. But in India, so before I came to Sharda, where we studied together, my
Okay,
first year I was in Mangalore in Canada, and I remember that the way that course was set up, it was kind of like expert, where they
yeah,
had like it was like they called it like an integrated batch essentially, where they
okay.
did training for JEE mains, JEE advanced, and CET.
Oh, okay,
So they had all of that, and like every Monday morning, we would have an exam, um,
Oh, okay, got
testing
it.
us on stuff like this, like
Yeah,
based on the topics that they've already covered. So
yeah.
I didn't remember shit, and most of my
Okay.
classmates didn't. So everybody had chits here and there, and it would come around. So like I've taken chits that have passed around, and I've answered for sure, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done
I
that
mean, like
because
I've done that in Sharda though. I remember after first
hmm,
year there were some classes in between second year and first year. I mean, like second year, first PU and second PU. Summer classes were
before
there. Remember
yeah, yeah,
before
yeah, I came
second
early. I
PU
remember
actually
that.
began. Yeah, yeah.
Right,
In
right,
those
right.
classes they used to keep exams for us. Remember the physics, maths, whatever.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In those exams, even I didn't carry my own chit, but I copied from chit. I guess it was that was carrying the chit. I guess it was him. I remember copying it from his paper. Even, but even though I copied, I failed in that exam. But that didn't really matter because that was not counted at the end of the day.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Because I think with the way the entire system is built, even during our finals, I remember like our chemistry exam got cancelled 2 times.
Oh my God. Yeah. Shit. I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was
Yeah, yeah,
three. Yeah. Yeah. Two times. Yeah. We
yeah.
actually
It
gave
got
a paper
cancelled.
for the third time.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
how I remember it is we wrote the exam the first time,
Yeah.
but then they were like, "Oh, it's been leaked, so we're gonna
We'll
have
cancel
students
it. Yeah.
retake the exam."
Yeah.
I think the day that we went to retake itself, we found
No,
out
we were
before we
about
went to
to leave
retake.
for that day. No, we were about to
Exactly.
go there to retake. They canceled it in the morning of exam, saying that the paper is leaked again.
Again. Yeah,
Then
yeah,
they
yeah.
gave us a leave for another 10 or 15 days, and then we wrote it for the third time.
Right,
First time,
right,
what I
right.
remember was we probably, I got the paper that day. I don't know who gave it to me that day. Okay.
It
Initially,
was
I didn't believe.
circulating.
Yeah, someone had, written it in a book and they're like, this is the thing, this is it, just go through it. Like, no, why would, obviously, during any exam, there will be all these rumors, there will be chummas papers spreading around saying that this will be the question paper for today and stuff. And I was like, okay, someone might have fooled him, so he's believing it. Okay, I might as well go through it. What is the harm? Then I went
Hmm.
and took the exam. It was exact copy, same question number, everything. And I was like, okay, I remember all this stuff. I wrote it nicely. I came out. Then in the evening or something, I probably went out to movie with my family and something, I guess. Then I got a message in news on WhatsApp and everything saying that the exam is cancelled, paper was leaked and stuff. And I was like, okay. That time also I didn't believe. I like Chumma spreading a hoax and stuff. Then it was actually cancelled. Then probably did they cancel it on the same day of exam or after a few days?
I think it was after 1 or 2 days that we found out that, oh, like the chemistry paper was leaked, so
Yeah,
they're canceling it and they're having students retake it and all of that sort of stuff. Because I remember like every night in the hostel, every night before an exam, someone would come in. They're like, "Oh, I heard about this paper. This
yeah.
might be leaked." every single every single exam, um, someone or the
But
other would have like a
yeah,
paper from
but we were
somewhere.
never really sure if that was a paper or there. As before every exam, there are some few people who try to fool others. Just by saying that this is a question paper, you read from it, you'll pass, and all this stuff. So you can't really be sure if that will be the question paper. You just have to go with it. And so on your side, you just have to study whatever you're studying, and no harm in looking at this paper as well. So you go through
Right,
the
right,
paper and
right.
just, yeah.
Yeah, that was my approach to it because I remember usually these guys would like come in with the papers at midnight or like at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So sometimes like I'd be done studying by then, so I would go to sleep. But no, I'm not saying that I wouldn't see it in the morning. I would see like in
Yeah.
the morning and I would check. And I remember I think I can't remember if it was physics or it was maths,
Okay.
but I remember seeing the questions on the exam itself, and I was like, "Oh, these questions. Like some of these questions were on that also." And
Yeah.
I checked in the hostel, so I was like, "Okay, great. I know these anyway, so I'll answer them. Great." I'll also elaborate on this for people who are listening who might not know. Uh, I don't know of how common it is around the country, but at least in Karnataka, in the state board, 12th exams, um, there's people who usually essentially steal the exam paper before it releases the next day, and they
And
release it out to the public for like money.
yeah,
Like people pay to get the paper,
yeah.
so that they don't
Because
have to
who wouldn't want
study
a good
as
rank?
hard. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then that way people would buy these leaked papers and then they would like study based on that and just go and answer those questions and so on and so forth. So that's what usually used to happen. Um,
Okay.
which is why our chemistry exam got rescheduled 3 times.
Twice.
I mean, I remember hearing rumors that the third time also it got leaked, but then they were like, "Oh fuck it, let's not cancel again," or something like that. I don't know how true that is, but I remember hearing that rumor too. Um, does it
But yeah,
happen
what I
still, like
remember
a lot
was,
in boards? Oh,
I
go
don't
ahead.
think so. But right now, I haven't heard about it. It might
Hmm.
be happening somewhere. Some display. If it's happening, it's a good thing that we're not hearing. So they're doing it very, very secretly.
Discreetly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
discreetly. So
Yeah.
what I remember was even the third paper was exactly same as the first paper. So most of the questions that we had in the third paper was same, almost similar as the first paper that we wrote on chemistry. But again, yeah, we didn't
Hmm.
get to see the second paper because on the day of morning, I was about to leave for the exam center. I got a call from a saying that the paper is cancelled because the paper is leaked again. And I didn't
Hmm.
believe him. He might be pranking. So I checked the news, it was true. And we were like, shit, what is happening? Then I remember
Yeah.
hanging out in the hostel that day. We were like, huh, oh yeah, if it's done, it's done. We'll go play. That's all.
Right. Right. Exactly. What else can we do?
What else can we
Um,
do? Nothing's in our hand.
right. Yeah. Because I think for us, what happened was in the hostel, in the TV room, I think someone turned on the TV, and that's when we went and like checked, and it was on the news. I think that's when we found out, and we didn't go. I don't know
Hmm.
why. I vaguely remember that happening. Um, but yeah, those are fun times. Fun
What is,
times.
yeah.
Definitely looking back, like they're funny. To think about it.
What I think is starting from that point on, we gave chemistry twice, chemistry exam basically, technically twice. Okay.
Right.
Then we gave AIPMT, which got cancelled, which turned into NEET. Then
Yeah.
ours was the batch that got hit with COVID during our fourth
Right.
year. Then our NEET got delayed multiple times. And I don't think if it has happened before. So it's just the 2016 batches is going through everything rather than, previous, and then not even the batch next to us or the batch before us. It's just
Right.
our batch. Our batch is going through all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody who graduated in 2016 is going through the troubles of
Yeah.
just things not going right. Yeah. Because I don't know, like
It's
that year
just
too,
series of disasters that is happening with us. In
right.
some way I think it's good. In some way, I don't think if it's good. It's just in some way it's just something is wrong with our batch. I feel.
Like the batch is cursed in some way.
Not exactly cursed. It might be. We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, they kind of say that over here for like the batch who started college in the COVID era. Because like there's a
Hmm.
lot of college kids who started like their college during COVID time, so they were doing it from they were doing it remotely because all of their like
Mhm.
classes were
Yeah,
held
yeah,
remotely and so on. So I know like a lot of people after they came back, there was definitely like a very weird vibe. Just like it wasn't the same. I mean, I'm sure it's the same
yeah.
everywhere.
It's yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like, yeah, even when I was in fourth year, as I told you, because fourth year was the main year. Basically all these big subjects like medicine, surgery, obstetrics, and gynecology. These all subjects start for us in fourth year. Basically, that was the point of time. That was the year that we were supposed to get exposed to all these major clinical departments. That was when COVID hit. As I vaguely remember, I was doing my medicine posting that time. I was, classes as well as I was posted in medicine. So we heard this news from, saying that the coronavirus is spreading. It might come to India as well. We were like, no, why would it come to India? It's there. It's in China. It'll let it be there. Then we heard that our hospital is preparing as well for that. Like, that's Chuma preparing. Why it won't come to India? We know that. Then after a few days, we heard that it's coming to India. A few people are coming, and they tested positive for COVID as well. Then it's become a huge thing that they gave us a leave for a week, saying that we'll be called back after a few days. Just for precautionary purpose, we'll be given leave for a week. That week turned into a month, which turned into 2 months. That turned into from March to it came down to November. So it took that long. So basically, in the beginning few months, we were chilling at home, say thinking that no college or classes will be had. But college started saying that we'll conduct online classes. We'll make it attendance compulsory. You have to give tests as well. Like, okay, what is that? What's gonna happen? Anyways, we're not gonna turn up. You're like, turn a face camera on, so no one will see what's going on as well. So I shouldn't be saying that. I shouldn't be saying this, and I'm not proud of what I did. Basically, keep the phone on, keep the class, whatever is going on, keep it aside, and sleep in the other room or something. But it happened for many days. Then we had the return test. That return test, they used to give us a paper. It's not like someone's watching us while we are writing the exam. Basically, what I did was I went to my friend's house who was staying in the same city. I went to his homes. We saw the paper together. We went through the book together. We wrote the same question. Then we had to scan and upload it. So that's how I
Mm.
finished most of my papers. Even we have something called Viva as well. Viva, which
Yeah.
was, on a video call. A certain
Mm.
number of roll numbers are allotted a particular consultant, and then those consultant or the professors or the teachers who are there, they call it, we are put on a one single video call where they take turns in asking people questions. So only that time was when I faced my consultant directly, and then that was when he asked me questions, and I could answer some. Apart from that, there was no connection between any consultant or the student that was there that time. It was only
Mm.
online classes that was going on. I don't think even I mean like even the consultants knew that we were not listening to the class. That was pretty obvious to everyone, I guess. So even they used to be like put some PPT, this, go finish it in some time and then leave. So basically,
Mm.
basically none of the like most of the education that happened in the COVID break that didn't happen. It was just
Mm. It was there for the sake of being there, but it
yeah,
wasn't
it
there
was
to like
like
actually
yeah,
educate you.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Because I'll just explain a couple of other things really quickly.
okay,
Chumma means simply, for those of
okay,
you wondering. It's just like a phrase of expression of saying, "Oh yeah,
yeah,
they're doing it for no reason," kind of thing, or
yeah,
some that's the context.
right.
And Viva is like oral questioning where they just ask you some
Okay.
questions related to lab, um, and to gauge your practical knowledge. Essentially, they ask you questions and you have to answer. But yeah, I feel like over here also
Hmm.
people who do similar things like turn off the camera, just lie down,
Hmm. Yeah.
and like sleep while the class is happening.
I mean, like, do you
uh,
still have online classes though?
no, I mean we don't right now.
Okay.
We did like for 2020, 2021, we did have some online classes. um, and yeah, people would turn off the camera, sleep. Sometimes when you would see some people on the camera screen, you would know they're on their bed while they're on the call. So yeah, so there was all of
Yeah.
that. But with exams though, I think there is this app called like lock browser or something, or lockdown browser or something like that,
Okay.
that they use. So basically, it like blocks everything on your laptop.
Hmm.
You can only like,
Oh,
and they have a
okay.
camera on you, so
Oh, okay.
you have to keep your camera
Uh,
on.
uh,
Um, so they'll know, like, even, and I think the camera is built with like some AI or something.
uh,
So when you're looking in a certain direction, it senses that you're not looking at straight at the screen and that you might be
uh-huh.
copying, and then it flags it to the instructor, and
Oh,
then it sort of
okay.
becomes a thing. Or like
Oh.
there's someone else, like a proxy, watching you take the exam. So there's like many different ways that they're doing that now. Now, I mean, some classes still have like these online exams.
Hmm.
They're still in person, like the classes. But I know like some of my friends who are in, or some people I know who are in the, yeah, my best friend is in the business department over here. He's doing his masters in the business department, and he has to take
Okay.
exams
Okay.
that way too. And yeah, we hear stories of how like people get caught, like they put stuff on their Apple Watch, or they try keeping
Yeah,
stuff on their
yeah.
phone, all of that kind of shit, and then they get caught. And yeah, then they, like, some professors, like, if it happens repeatedly, they sort of fail them in the class. But some of them, if it's like their first time doing it, then it's just like a slap on the wrist and they let you go. But no, it does happen. Like, that is happens here too. I guess everywhere you go, students will be students at the end of the day.
Yeah,
There's no
at the end
changing
of the
that.
day, it's just, you have to go. You have to pass somewhere. You want to pass it. That's all. It doesn't matter
Right,
what
right,
you're
right.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
One thing I
natural
wanted to
thing.
ask you, I guess on a more serious note, um,
Yeah.
I guess I mean, I've had this thought that engineering has been quite saturated in India,
Hmm.
like, as like the amount of people that are like studying engineering and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Do you feel like that's happening with medicine as well? Like almost everybody is
Definitely,
wanting to
yeah,
do that?
definitely. Yeah, it's become a trend now. Engineering was saturated few years back itself. Every other kid who just wanted to, get do something. If he didn't get anything good, he would do engineering. Even if he knew what he was doing or not, he just wanted a degree. So it's just I'll do engineering. So it's pretty much saturated few years back itself, and now feel like MBBS is still this. MBBS is also turning into something like that. There's a general talk saying that MBBS is the new engineering.
Mm,
Like, because it's true, because every other kid wants to do MBBS. Every kid is being pushed to do MBBS. Everyone wants to do MBBS because the number of seats are increasing, and the number of aspirants who want to become a doctor are increasing. The number of people appearing for exam is increasing because it's just not the fresh batch that is taking the exam. It's also the people who had not got a good result previously also trying to compete this year as well. So it's just more and more people keep on adding for the same exam, keep on getting, keep on seats are keep on increasing. So it's just like that. There's a huge turnover as well. So that's why it's come to a point that in India, it's a stereotype that only engineering or medical is the only choice that you have, nothing else. But now that times have been changing and everything else is getting saturated, people are realizing that there are more other branches rather than, even the kids are realizing I want to become other than engineering or doctor. I want to be something else. So yeah, people are, diverting towards other streams as well, but still it's not enough to say that more people are going to the other stream rather than medical. So medical is, yeah, pretty well saturated now. It's
mm,
saturated. Even though it's saturated, people still want to do it. They're not lost hope and they're like, I'll get it, I'll do it. It's like that. They still have that
mm,
hope.
yeah.
But yeah,
And I
it
guess,
in India do really needs doctors. So there's no harm in getting more doctors. But if you see from future perspective, if there are more number of doctors and there are no patients to treat or no place to work, in a city like metropolitan city like Bangalore, if you see, there are n number of doctors. If you put 4 or 5 general practitioners in one area for people around, some 50 or something. Everyone would go to a single consultant or two consultant, like two doctors, more than 5 patients, like 5 doctors. Everyone would distribute themselves equally to all the doctors. So more the number of doctors are there, it will become like only if certain people will be getting more patients, not everyone else, not everyone will be getting the number of patients equally. So even the clinical practice is kind of saturated. The Once you see that all these number of people are passing out, if there is a huge number of doctors that are passing out, yeah, ultimately it comes to a point where, as explained, uh, more number of doctors in a single city, so not everyone will have a good practice. It's just randomly distributed to only single people, like a few people who are very famous, who patients think the patient doctor treats very well. Obviously they'll refer other their friends, the family, everyone will put it with the same doctor, rather than just see how this guy treats me. It's not like that. That guy treated me better, we should go for him, we'll see him as a. So it's like that. And
Hmm.
yeah, basically saying that yeah, it's saturating, it's getting saturated.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, word of mouth with like doctors back home. It's like, oh yeah, that dentist is good, so let's go there
Yeah,
because I heard like 10 people say that he's good. Let's go there,
yeah.
and so on and so forth. But yeah, I guess maybe there might be. I mean, this is probably my lack of information or lack of knowledge showing, but
Okay.
I guess there's a lack of doctors in like rural parts of India
Yeah, that's true.
compared
That's
to
true.
urban
Because not
areas.
everyone wants to. Yeah, not everyone wants to work in a rural setup. Your rural setup, there are not many patients there, but those are the kind of population that require most of the treatment, that like most of the care that is to being provided. They don't have the knowledge to go and seek for help. Most of the acute scenarios that can be like any disease that can be treated acutely or immediately, they delay it, saying that it's nothing, nothing will happen, we'll treat it at home itself, you take this, some home remedies, we'll try. By the time they come to the hospital, it'll be too late. Well, one of the reasons they come to the hospital too late is, one is they have no knowledge about it, which we can't really blame them. And the other thing is, there is lack of, accessibility to the hospital or any local doctors that are there. Because not everyone wants to practice in the rural setup. It's not updated, something like that. And everyone wants to be in tier one or tier two cities, because that has
Right.
more number of patients, that has more number of opportunities, that is advanced. So everyone wants to take up more advanced thing rather than going back to norm basic stuff.
Yeah. That's why for some doctors, I think it takes like 1 to 2 months before you can get an actual appointment with them and all.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a
I mean,
ton
like,
of
yeah,
like appointment.
I haven't heard about taking appointment 2 months earlier or anything. It might be there. I haven't heard about it. But
I mean,
yeah,
I'm
some
maybe
first,
exaggerating a little, but generally,
but it sometimes it may could take week as well. Sometimes
yeah.
it takes weeks, for a week or so, to get to talk to one consultant at a certain point of time, because these consultants are regarded as the best. These doctors are regarded as the best. They treat in their own special field, so everyone wants to get treated by them. Even it's a minor issue, it can be treated by anyone new, like new doctor as well. But still, people want
Hmm.
to get treated from a person who has a lot of experience in that field.
Right,
So
right. Yeah. And is that saturation like sort of leading people into having to do MS or MD or MCH and all that sort of stuff, would you say?
I mean, yeah, like initially, as I said, MBBS was enough. If you look at old
Right.
practitioners that are there, you can see that they've only done MBBS, and they're pretty good at. Even with MBBS, they're very pretty good. They have a lot of knowledge in all this stuff. But a few years back, it had come to a point where you had to do MD or MS, which is medicine or medical field or surgical field. But now it's come to a point that even MDMS is not enough. You have to do another specialty as well. If you're taking medicine, you have to do endocrinology, neurology, something like that. Or if you're going through the surgery path, you have to do plastic surgery, neurosurgery of that sort. So it's just going funneling out into a single branch. From a lot of stuff in like MBBS, then you funnel down to some particular subject. Then in that particular part, so it's just going down, like funneling yourself to a certain, narrowing it down to one particular part or something like that. And then
Right, right.
once people realize that this doctor has these many degrees, they go to, if we it was like that, if people hear he's this specialist, people will go for, like, any layman will go for them only, directly will directly go to consult them. So it became a trend, to do MDMS after that, then do MCH or like super specialty. So it's now it's the new trend to do super specialty. I feel like even it's not even super specialty per se, but you don't have to end up doing it. You can
Mm,
do some fellowship as well. It's not because it's less time consuming and can be done by if you can be done by anyone who doesn't have the time to do all this, go through the super specialty stuff which take up to 2 or 3 years of your life. You don't have that much time, but you want another special degree to your name. Also, you want to specialize in something. Fellowships are also a good option. But yeah, it's necessary now in India to do. It has become a trend to do super specialty in India.
right, right, right. I guess the other thing that I was thinking about in terms of like becoming a doctor now in India and like how that's
Hmm.
changed like with social media and all of that sort of stuff
Yeah.
are like people in India or like doctors in India commoditizing their business like by putting it on social media, because I feel like over here you're kind of starting to see that where like doctors are becoming quite popular on social media. I guess it's kind of there in India too. Like
Yeah.
you hear some doctors like talk about certain conditions and they sort of share information
Hmm.
about this condition, that condition, and so on and so forth. Um, and thinking of this one
Not
dermatologist who I think,
exactly. I wouldn't exactly say it's for monetary purpose or anything. It's a good thing that they're doing it. Whether
right.
secondary, they're becoming popular. That is secondary. But the general public that is getting the right information, that is the basic part. If I want to look at it that way. So many people they go, whenever they come to our OPD as well, that is outpatient department as well, they would think that they have already Googled the symptoms, they already know the diagnosis. They come saying that I have this. When you
Mm,
examine the patient, it's not really that.
mm,
But and even if they have Googled anything, they think the solution is whatever the Google tells. But all this
mm,
social media stuff, they're educating people in the right way, saying that if you so basic things can be managed at home, but in a right way, not because someone is telling you to do this, but it's educating more people. They're making people are getting more aware of the things that are having. Some people might neglect some conditions which they think it's normal, but it might be abnormal, which is brought to their notice by the social media post or anything other information that is put on internet. So I
mm,
feel like yeah,
mm.
it's not exactly to become. I feel like they're not doing it exactly to become famous. There is
Sure.
that might be secondary intention. We never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good thing that is happening. Now, educating the general public is the most important thing right now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
But does it worry you that, like you kind of mentioned, people read things on Google and then they like sort of
Hmm.
self-diagnose themselves and come in? Um, how does that affect like a doctor's practice essentially, or does it affect it at all? Like if they have the wrong, um,
Like even if they have self-diagnosed themselves saying that I have this, I have that, even if it's true, you'll anyways have to treat it in the hospital. There might be conditions that are has to be treated in the hospital. Okay, if they come with a back pain or anything, some can be managed alone with the medication and sent home.
yeah,
Some needs to be operated for something else. It might not be just back pain. So only if they go through the extensive clinical laboratory investigations, you'll get to know that it's just not back pain. It's something else. So it's good that they're coming to the hospital, and it's not really good that they're diagnosing themselves via Google and they're not coming and telling us the diagnosis.
yeah. Yeah, because having information is one thing, but I think like using that information by like saying, "Oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that," like especially with
Yeah.
self-diagnosis, can be a little dangerous, right? Because I mean, I I have examples of this happening in like family itself. I mean, not
Mm-hmm.
specifically Google, but then just the knowledge that they had. They didn't use Google, but I mean, it was my own dad. He,
Okay.
I think. At some point he had like very bad stomach pain, so he would take like gastric
Okay.
medicine, but then later
Uh,
on we found out that he had some appendix issues, so his appendix had to be taken out. This
okay.
was like a long time back, and I think it was 10 years back, so it wasn't Google,
Oh,
but like I feel generally like similar
but
things
nothing
happen,
serious
but
happened, right?
no, he's
Nothing
fine, he's
serious.
fine, all good.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, all good, but touch wood. But I remember like at that point, like after it had all happened, like we would talk about it. Like maybe you shouldn't have been popping like gastric medicine for so
Yeah.
much time, thinking that it's gas. If we would have gone to a doctor soon enough, we would have known that okay, maybe it was an appendix and we need to get it fixed as soon as possible. So I guess similar things can happen right now also, where people are like self-diagnosing and then like, oh, I'll do this and it'll be okay, and then you're not actually fixing the problem just by
Yeah.
reading it off of Google. So that was what I was thinking of. But
Yeah.
in terms of like practicing medicine in India,
Hmm.
you kind of mentioned earlier about like potentially looking at going abroad as an option too.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you think like there's anything in medicine or like the practice of medicine in India that's lacking?
Not exactly. It's there are some. What I feel like there are some. What do you say? How do I say it? It's not exactly like don't have resources. It's there are a limited number of seats for that particular course that we want to do, but
Mm-hmm.
we won't be able to get it, you know. But it's abroad, you'll have all the opportunities, all the resources. Also, it's not so hectic like in India. Like if India, you finish your MBBS, MD, everything in a short span of 8 years or something, 8 year, 9 years. But as you know, in abroad it's not like that. It's pretty laid back. You know, you take your time, but you finish it in a long time, of course. So it's one of the things we go abroad for is that, which
Mm-hmm.
is more number of resources, more updated technology, and everything. The other thing is chill, lay back, and not exactly lay back. I don't, but uh, majorly work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is one of the things that you're looking for, and the other thing is resources. Because not every college, not every state, or not every department has not every seat that we get has all the requirements, like all the updated technology in India. Because still India is a and it's still medical field is still developing, and all the colleges are getting updated. All the educational, you know, the whatever reform is there that is happening. But since abroad they're already specialized, they're offering you courses in that. What's the harm in
Mm-hmm.
learning it from there and then coming back in India and teaching it to someone else and then practicing it here, so that you're more updated rather than following the same old tradition of what you're doing already doing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I did a bad job of framing that question because I was thinking of something else, but I asked it in a certain way. I guess my angle of coming at that question is more so from a point of seeking treatment. Excuse me. The reason I'm
Hmm.
asking that is because over here, for example,
Okay.
and this is my personal opinion of like seeking treatment in India versus doing it here. I think it's
Hmm.
much easier and much cheaper to seek
In
treatment in
India.
India over
Yeah.
here because insurance, this, that, that, this, they overcharge
Okay.
you. You have to pay like an arm
Okay.
and a leg to go into a hospital. If you go into a
Yeah.
hospital, expect to have at least a $500 bill coming your way.
Yeah.
Um, and it's very insurance reliant. Like the system over here is very
Okay.
insurance reliant,
Like,
to
how
where
is it
if you
over
don't
there?
have,
If you want to visit a hospital for any like
mm.
basic stuff like ankle pain or a back pain or a shoulder pain or something like that, how does it happen? Like, how do you approach a hospital over there?
So essentially the first thing you would be doing is enrolling into an insurance plan.
Okay.
Generally speaking, you would enroll into an insurance plan, and then within that insurance plan, you would go to a doctor that would cover that falls under that insurance, where you can
Hmm.
get coverage if you go to that certain clinic.
Okay.
So then people go there and then they seek treatment and whatever, and then they get billed to insurance, and then their insurance covers for whatever it covers for, and then it doesn't cover other things. If you're
Hmm.
not insured, you have to pay out of pocket. And
Okay.
sometimes I've heard some people say that it can be cheaper to pay out of pocket than it would be to go through insurance,
Oh, okay.
but they're still quite expensive.
Hmm.
So it really is like in that sense, it's not that great because it doesn't make it accessible, is what I mean. Because like God forbid, like if something happens to someone over here, like I guess I'm thinking about it from a context of international students, right?
Okay.
Like people who are moving here, who are working a
Uh,
student job, don't have enough
uh,
money. Um, Suddenly, like something happens, and then they have all these medical bills. Granted, we
Yeah.
do have insurance coverage like you're supposed to as an international student, and they usually give you
Hmm.
that through university. It's still a fear, like, or what if something happens, and then, I mean, because there have been days where I've been sick, and like for 2 or 3 days I've never been to the doctor. I've just like let it fix itself at home.
Hmm. Yeah.
uh, but again, I guess those things you can, like if it's a fever or if it's a cold, like you can like not go to
Do
the
you get
doctor.
over-the-counter drugs as well over there?
Oh yeah, 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 absolutely, yeah, yeah, you do. um Most supermarkets and like even like a Walgreens or like CVS, which are like big pharmaceutical chains over here, they
Hmm.
have over the counter drugs that you can go and
Hmm.
buy. um, they sell your usual, like, I mean, we call it paracetamol over there, no? But I guess
Yeah.
ibuprofen over here, or
Hmm.
whatever, they sell all of that kind of stuff, which you can buy over the counter. But I guess my opinion is that generally, like, having experienced treatment in India and a bit of treatment over here, it's much more accessible,
Definitely
I
cheaper
feel.
in accessible,
Definitely
cheaper in
cheaper.
India. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
Because
granted, I was living in urban India, so I guess that's also a
hmm.
different thing. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. In the sense, yeah, because it's more accessible, it's more easier, it's more number of options that you have here. You can. It's not like you have to book an appointment, and you'll have to,
Hmm.
but it's not like every other doctor you'll have to book an appointment and go. You just go to any emergency with whatever money you have, and then you can get the basic treatment that is required. That is, if you can't afford private, there's always a government hospital. Government hospitals are very affordable. Even a daily wage worker can afford it. That is one good point that Indian hospitals have, or getting treatment in India is.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah. I guess so. That was sort of my angle of coming
Uh,
at that question, like in terms of patient treatment. Like, do you think
yeah,
there are some things that the Indian system could do better?
Indian system, yeah, it can. I think it's changing now. People. I mean, like all the hospitals or all the colleges, medical field, everything is getting updated. Everyone is getting updated. All the new, they're getting the new technology, new techniques. They're updating themselves. So that is what is actually required, and that is what is actually happening. But it's not gonna happen in a day or two or in a year or something. It's gonna take a long time to cover a huge nation, and
Yeah,
also to focus on not every area can be focused at the same time. But yeah, it will take some time, but I think it surely will happen. Well, if you look at the COVID scenario only, the first wave, no one was prepared for it. No, no, none. Most of the hospitals were not equipped for it, to treat with such mass casualty. But now, if you sort of look at it, more number of hospitals have developed, more number of beds are there, more number of doctors that are available. So it's changing, and it's changing for good.
hmm. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing because,
Yeah,
um, at the end of the day, as like India is developing as a country, um, all of those resources also have to develop, right? Like, to
yeah.
where things are changing and it's becoming more advanced and so on and so forth. Um, I guess you sort of mentioned your earlier aspirations of like going abroad potentially. Um,
Hmm.
do you have a place in mind?
Initially, I just wanted to. I heard that South Korea offers, nice fellowships. May it be for
Gotcha.
any spine surgery, or may it be for anything. South Korea was one of the places that I had thought of in mind, and then now Europe is also one of the places I have in mind. So not exactly planned on going where or doing what. It's
Mm,
just I just want to explore and see what other than Indian setup or an Indian education board or Indian education how it is system. I just
sure.
wanted to experience the foreign system as well. What is the difference? What is the like? What are we lacking, and how good
Sure.
is the foreign system, or how good is the Indian system? I just want to see that.
Mm,
At least for that kind of
gotcha.
experience, I want to go, but it's all in the future. I don't know what will happen.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Sounds good.
Yeah,
That's fair. That's fair.
yeah,
I guess one last question before we sort of
yeah.
bring it to a close. What is something that, or what are some things that you've learned from this journey of like being in MBBS and doing your MS right now, that you've learned? Not just about the medical things alone, but like life in general. What are some things that you've learned that have been helpful to you?
Uh, Speaking in terms of doctor, I feel like we are taken health for granted.
Hmm.
I feel like we can get away with stuff. We can leave a disease as it is and it will heal itself, something like that. Or life in general, we have taken things for granted. There are a lot of things that can be done, a lot of things can be improved, and a lot of things can be taken into consideration. But yeah, we have to focus on our own self more rather than just just going with the flow.
Hmm.
That's-
So that would be your sort of point, is that like we take
Yeah,
things for granted. People take
yeah,
things for granted. No, that's fair. That's fair. I think
uh,
sometimes when you lose something, that's when you realize, oh, like I've had
yeah,
this and I've never thought about it, but now that I don't have it, I realize the
yeah. It is
importance of
really
it.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure,
yeah.
for sure, for sure.
And
Well, awesome,
also,
bro. Thank you so
I
much.
just
Oh,
wanted
go
to have
ahead.
a.
Yeah, go ahead.
How did you end up in US, by the way?
Oh,
Because I remember you wanted to study in India. You wanted to be a doctor. Yeah, right. You wanted to pursue
no.
MBBS
So
here.
I was looking at forensics as an option in India at that point as well.
Okay.
But at that point, I was thinking of doing forensic pathology by like doing MBBS and then like getting into like forensic
Hmm.
pathology where I can do autopsies and all that sort of stuff. So I was thinking of that initially. But
Hmm.
then later on, as I started doing more research, I kind of realized that firstly, I did not want to do MBBS. Secondly, I was like, if I don't want to do MBBS, I don't think there is a strong enough program for forensics in India.
Hmm.
There were some programs, don't get me wrong. I think Amity in Noida,
Hmm.
um, and I think even Jain in Bangalore had a forensic science program, but none of them seemed, I guess, strong enough.
Okay.
So I started doing some research about like going abroad and what countries had good options and so on. I initially was looking at Australia,
Hmm.
but then I had people recommend that US is probably the better option, even for the job market and so on,
Yeah.
because Australia's job market is not as big compared to America's, which is fair.
Uh,
But I mean that even that has its own problems. Anyway,
yeah.
uh, but yeah. So after they said that, I sort of started looking for universities over here, and I had a cousin who used to study in the same state that I'm in right now, in Oklahoma, and he had suggested, oh, there's this university called UCO. It has a good enough program. Why don't you check that out? So when I started doing a little more digging, I found out that this is actually one of the only programs to have like multiple accreditations over multiple like degrees and stuff. So it was like one of
Hmm.
the only schools in like the entirety of the continent that had that high quality education at an affordable
Hmm.
price. It's like, okay, cool. So this has everything I need. I guess we'll take this as an option.
Nice, nice,
So yeah,
nice.
so it
Yeah.
worked out, and then I came here. That's how I came here.
Nice, nice. Because
Yeah,
all of a
yeah.
sudden you're like, you might take up. I was thinking you'll take up MBBS and be here, since your parents are in Bangalore, I believe.
So no, my mom was moving to Mangalore sooner, but
Okay.
at that point when I was still in India, no, I was staying with my grandmother at that point before I
Hmm.
moved to Udupi.
Hmm.
So yeah, but that was sort of like my thought initially. When I spoke
Hmm.
to my parents, I was also thinking about MBBS and all that sort of stuff. But later
Yeah.
on, as I thought more about it, I was like, I don't know if MBBS is for me.
Yeah.
So I sort
How do
of
you like
like
it now?
chose.
How
I
do you
mean,
like
I
it in
like
this
it.
now?
Like it's good. Like I've gotten to, and I'm very grateful for this. I'm very lucky that way. I've gotten
Hmm.
to be under professors who've been in the FBI for like 20, 30 years.
Oh, nice. That's
Um,
good.
yeah.
Crazy that is.
So that's really
Yeah.
super cool. Like our former director of the program over here, of like the Forensic Science Institute over here,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
used to be the FBI lab director in like the early 2000s when
Oh,
George
okay.
Bush Jr. was president. So, like getting the opportunity to learn from people who are of like such high caliber. Yeah, very lucky, very blessed that way because
Mm.
um, yeah, it's like how often do you get
Yeah,
those
not a
experiences? Like you don't,
yeah.
right? So it's very cool. Like
Like
the
not
main
everyone
person
is
who
destined
teach.
to have this.
Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So no, it's definitely not lost on me that I'm very lucky that
yeah,
way, and
good.
very thankful for that. But
Yeah,
yeah, like my chemistry, or like the forensic chemistry person, for example, has like 20 or 30 years of experience in um, forensics. He's been part of like many different international cases. Like there was a flight bombing that's quite like people know about it over here. I don't know if you've heard about the Pan Am flight that was bombed. I think it was Pan Am 103, um,
okay.
which was flying over Scotland, and I think it like sort of blasted and it fell in Scotland. So like he
Hmm.
went there with like a team of experts, and they were like sort of looking for evidence and like bomb
Hmm.
evidence and all that sort of stuff. Um, so yeah, so like um, they teach us things based on their experiences. Like some of the presentations and like the slides that they have are like pictures from the incidents that happened, and whatever information they can share. Obviously, like like some case sensitive information they probably wouldn't share, but generally speaking, like some of our professors who teach um, like crime scene processing and all, they have like some pictures from their scenes. uh, I once took this class called medical legal death investigation. That is
Okay.
basically like
I know,
how someone would
like
come and
you
pronounce how.
autopsy or something.
It's before the autopsy step. It's more like,
Okay, basically the scenario,
yeah,
like we'll see how it
right,
happened
the
and
scenario,
all that.
how it
Yeah.
happened and all that. It's like cause
Hmm.
of death, manner of death, all that
Hmm.
sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, they would show like pictures in that class too. Some of which I don't know if I should be putting out on the internet. I can tell you after we're done recording.
Yeah.
Um, but
But I'm okay
yeah,
with it because
so
I've generally seen autopsy as well. But I don't know if the internet is ready for it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's why I'll probably leave it out for
Yeah.
now. But yeah, so in that, like to bring it all down, like I think the experience wise has been quite good. Like faculty is also very supportive. I guess because of the size of the university, like even though it's like
Hmm.
a great program in terms of like the accreditation and all of that it has, I think it's also quite nice because the class sizes are not that big, so you're able to get more one-on-one time with your professors where you're able to sort of discuss ideas, bounce off ideas with them. Like my thesis advisor has also been very helpful, like with stuff, because I feel like the bigger the class sizes get, even with thesis projects and things like that, like you lose connect with your main professor.
Hmm.
You sort of see them once in a while. Because I mean, I hear this from my sister, who's like doing her nutrition in Manipal. Um, like, they have like people under people, and then
Yeah. Hierarchy.
right, right. There's that hierarchy of
Yeah.
like there's a main
Yeah.
professor, and then he has PhD candidates. His PhD candidates are mainly the one the master's students would go to, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so in that sense, like it's a very nice system here, at least in this university. I guess different
Hmm.
universities have different ways of operating for sure. But yeah, sorry, that's a long-winded answer, but yeah, generally, so it's been good.
Yeah. Nice, nice.
Yeah,
Good to hear. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll bring this to a close, bro. We can chat more if you want to, but
Yeah.
after this. But thank you so much for coming once again
Thank
and
you for inviting
saying
me. That's
yes.
the first thing I would say. And also, you're doing a good job with the processing podcast.
Thank you, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you so much. But yeah, for those of you watching and listening, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you guys next
Thank
time.
you.
Bye bye.
Yeah.